First of all, to track these storm systems with our live Storm Tracker 13, Dave is standing by with us. Hey, Dave.
Hey there. Thank you very much, Mike. A big afternoon for Central Florida with this tornado watch in place. As Mike said, a tornado watch essentially telling us the atmosphere is primed, it's set, it's ready. It could produce tornadoes. But the very key piece of information, the key component to this is the fact that it has, in fact, not produced any tornadoes, and that is the good news. Now, we have a flashing box here. That represents our current severe thunderstorm warning. And this is in effect until 4:30 this afternoon. As a matter of fact, they just reissued information on this particular watch, sort of reaffirming that it is still capable of producing winds in excess of 58 miles per hour. Quarter-sized hail. When I say quarter, I mean like the coin, 1 inch in diameter, and the potential of generating a tornado. And we have some heavier cells here at the bottom. But what we've not seen so far, we've not seen a lot of fully rotating thunderstorms, and we've certainly had no tornado warnings. So this cell that is essentially moving right through Cocoa and into Rockledge and Banana River Drive as we speak, and beginning to stretch down into Manatee Stadium and Vieira, almost into the Palm Shores area and over into the Pineda Causeway. These cells are moving at about 50 miles per hour. So you're on the barrier island now, and things are actually fairly quiet, but just in the next couple of minutes, this is all going to move into your area. You can see over Volusia and Lake and Sumter County, and specifically up in Marion County, even Flagler, where the tornado watch has been allowed to expire, we are seeing significantly less in the way of any heavy rainfall at all. I want to take you into Seminole and eastern parts of Orange County. This is passed through Orlando. As a matter of fact, if we take a look at the FBC Mortgage Weather Cam, you can see mainly just the raindrops on the camera lens at this time and the gray skies there. But if we have that KSC visitor, well, that's the other side. That's a great view looking off to the north. But over at KSC, the visitor complex, the Kennedy Atlantis Cam, you can see this wall of water that is moving in our direction. So something we're going to watch very, very closely for you over the next couple of minutes. As a matter of fact, let me take you into Storm Tracker 13 again, and that is that wall I'm talking about. So the actual visitor complex is right about here, and the showers are moving into that area as we speak, but just to the south, and we're going to go ahead and turn that camera to the south, just to the south of the visitor complex, right across the 528 and the 520 down into Sykes Creek and the Merritt Square Mall, and then moving almost into the Cocoa Beach Country Club. This little complex right here that is moving at about 50 miles per hour. So from the KSC Visitor Complex, Kennedy Atlantis Cam, looking to the south, that is what you see there. Thanks, Zach, for making that change. That is that storm that is pushing across the barrier island now, the Intracoastal Waterway, the Indian River Lagoon, and the Banana River as well. And on Storm Tracker 13, and you saw that lightning flash. Now, interestingly enough, lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes are registering somewhere around 80. This has not been a prolific lightning producer. There's not a lot of really cold air in the middle and upper levels of the atmosphere. That typically is what helps to generate lightning. You need ice in a thunderstorm to get lightning. We're not seeing that, but what we are seeing are the wind fields that are in place, and that's a concern today. Winds rushing up out of the south. This morning, did you see those low clouds just zipping along just above the highway as you're heading into work? Very, very powerful low-level winds from the south, and then south, southwest, and northwest winds as you go up in the atmosphere. So it's the wind fields that are turning and churning that are giving us our concern. So let me go ahead and stop this and put a track on a couple of storms, and then we do want to let Mike Simon talk to us a little bit about what's happening with sort of the post-frontal event. What's going to happen once this front moves through early tomorrow morning? How's it going to feel around Central Florida? Because we are all in for a big shock. I know many of us have been paying attention to the news. We know all about the cold weather that's coming, but boy, it's going to be a raw day tomorrow. There is Vieira, Wickham Road, Suntree, Pineda Causeway. There's a South Tropical Trail down into the Oak Grove and on up into Hacienda del Sol, and then on up into Courtney Parkway. I'll go ahead and move this a little bit further to the north, on up into North Merritt Island. There's Rockledge. I mentioned that a moment ago. This is rushing into your area, and again, it's moving at about 50 miles per hour. So in terms of what's happening in Cocoa Beach, certainly we can put a track on the leading edge of the storm right into Cocoa, but I've got to take it almost out across the screen before I can even give you an idea of just how fast that is moving. So again, we are talking about a significant situation there in terms of that particular storm and how quickly it's moving. So it is really right now mainly a central Brevard County event. You can see on up into southern Volusia, and then eastern parts of Seminole. Let me just take you in there just quickly for a moment. Southern Volusia, eastern parts of Seminole. We're certainly getting some heavier showers. Scottsmore back into Geneva. And then if I pull this to the south, we're going to get down into areas around Christmas. And of course, once we talk about Christmas, we've got Bithlo and our friends at the Wedgefield subdivision all seeing some heavy showers. And then back into the southern parts of Brevard County, more rural areas. The main event, though, right now is what we see happening here in central Brevard County, where we have our severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until until 4:30, rushing now across the Barrier Islands, the Indian River Lagoon, and the Banana River, heading over into Patrick Air Force Base, and then right along 95 in Vieira. Very, very intense here in Vieira, moving across Suntree in the next couple of minutes. Again, behind this front, a shocking change to our weather pattern, and Mike Simon has the details on that.
Dave is standing by.
All right, thanks very much, Mike. Yeah, it's been an interesting afternoon. These storms are rushing along, moving to the north and east at about 50 miles per hour. The whole complex moving off to the south and east at about 30 miles per hour. This squall line is well out ahead of the cold front itself. As a matter of fact, the cold front is actually somewhere up across the panhandle. So if I were to draw the line, it'd probably be somewhere back up here is where the actual cold front is, and is basically moving off to the south and east. So this is well out ahead of the cold front itself. So we're going to continue to watch this activity now for the next little while. Let me take you into our severe thunderstorm warning. So we do have this tornado watch until 8 o'clock. Now, as we talk about the tornado watch, we're talking about this area right through here. So it does not include Marion County or Flagler County, but it includes everyone else in East Central Florida, south and east. And so that's until 8 o'clock. Now, Mike has said this a couple times earlier, that we'll likely see this tornado watch sort of be shaved back and allowed to expire in some of these northwestern counties like Sumter and Lake, and maybe even Volusia and northern parts of Orange County. But we still have this significant complex that is coming down. I'm going to just sort of zoom in on just the area where we're seeing the heaviest of the storms. And there you have it, East Orange County, again, Union Park, Bithlo, Christmas, Wedgefield, and then in the eastern parts of Seminole County, Geneva, up into Maytown and southern Volusia and Oak Hill, and then Scottsmore, Mims, Titusville, Port St. John, Cocoa, and Rockledge really taking it on the chin at this point, and this very, very heavy squall that is moving across Cape Canaveral as we speak. But there are additional storms, and so there's KSC, the visitor complex, the Kennedy Atlantis cam, and you can see the sheets of rain that are impacting that area at this time, and we're also getting some of that flashing from the lightning, while at the same time, back in the downtown Orlando area, yeah, it's gray, it's cloudy, and it's wet, making for a miserable commute, but we're not getting the heavy downpours. All right, Storm Tracker 13, and again, I do want to mention that the cells themselves are moving so quickly. They're moving at about 50 miles per hour. So look at this line here. Whenever we have that's kind of like this wave in this area, it's always a concern for the potential of some amount of rotation within the storms. So as we talk about our immediate threat in Central Florida, the areas that we're most concerned about, it will be Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral, and then down to Patrick Air Force Base, South Merritt Island, again, Hacienda del Sol, Georgiana, the Oak Grove, down into Pineda and Mathers Bridge. Those areas have not seen the heavy storms yet, but here it is right here. It's moving in. It's just about to cross Lake Washington into Ogallie. It's moving at about 50 miles per hour. So the track means it's going to be upon you here really just in the next couple of minutes. And then some of our friends a little bit further down to the south and west, more showers are moving in across the southern parts of Brevard County. So eventually, there in the Melbourne area as well, and Palm Bay, you're going to begin to see some of this rain move into the area. Once again, a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for central Brevard County. We're specifically talking about our friends between Titusville and Melbourne to the beaches, Cape Canaveral, Cocoa Beach, Rockledge area, down into Patrick Air Force Base. That's in effect until 4:30. We'll be right here to keep you up to date with your weather on the ones. Right now it is live Storm Tracker 13.
It is 5 o'clock. I'm Marla Weech. Let's get right to your weather on the ones forecast. Meteorologist Dave Cocchiarella is watching a lot of storms on Storm Tracker 13. Dave.
Hey there, Marla. Indeed. But the good news is, in just the last about 30 to 40 seconds, we have seen the Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center drop the tornado watch for just about all of Central Florida. Now, the area is still under that watch, and that is until 8 o'clock this evening. Will be Osceola and Brevard County. Those are the areas that are currently still seeing fairly heavy showers and thunderstorms. We do want to let you know that in Palm Coast, up in Flagler County, of course, where we're currently seeing fairly quiet conditions, that we have had some trees uprooted this afternoon. Right now, at this time, the heaviest rainfall is occurring here in Melbourne and in Ogallie and in the Atlantic, Indian Harbor, up into Satellite Beach, just into the Ogallie Yacht Club area. So there you have it, very intense, moving into the west side of Palm Bay as well. So we will continue with periods of some very heavy rainfall, a little bit further north up into the county from the Cape Canaveral, Health First, that is, Cape Canaveral Hospital. That's the view with cloudy skies and wet weather. We're going to continue to monitor these stronger storms in Brevard County and Osceola, where our tornado watch continues, coming up in just a few minutes with your weather on the ones.
Your accurate weather expert forecast with Storm Tracker 13.
All right, so weather on the ones here at News 13, and some intense thunderstorms moved across central Florida this afternoon. Still holding on to some fairly active weather in Osceola and Brevard County. Some additional showers moving through Sumter as well. At this time, the live view from I-4 Church Street, and again, you can see the wet weather today has caused some pretty miserable conditions around central Florida and the roadways. We had record high temperatures today in Vero Beach. Many of us in the middle and even upper 80s. And I hope you enjoyed the last little bit of warm weather for really a good bit of this week, because the showers today driven by a cold front. The cold front then will bring in, well, colder air, and we are looking at a huge change in the output of temperatures for the next couple of afternoons. There are rainfall totals around the area, and again, the heaviest has really been over here in eastern parts of Seminole Orange and then into Brevard County, where we're still seeing some fairly significant rainfall at this time. In the end, this frontal boundary well off to the north and west of us is going to have to clear the area completely before we can really start talking about clearing. But even I think as this front moves through tomorrow morning, we're still going to be dealing with some cloud cover into tomorrow afternoon and even some light rain. And the problem tomorrow is we will probably see our high temperatures just after midnight, meaning temperatures are just going to steadily fall throughout the day. Now, they're not going to plummet. They'll go from the middle 50s maybe down into the lower 50s, but we're definitely talking about kind of a cold, breezy, even at times wet, raw day. Now, in terms of what we're looking at right now for our tornado watch, it is being limited, or has been pared back now to areas just in and around Osceola and Brevard County. So that is the good news. Those are the areas we continue to see showers. That's officially until 8 o'clock this evening, but very likely that that particular watch will also be dropped here shortly. In terms of what we're looking at with the strongest storms, mainly across the southern parts of those areas, we'll go ahead and stop that for you. So between 441 and 192, Holopod, Deer Park, Melbourne, down into Palm Bay. As a matter of fact, Palm Bay really sort of taking it in the chin right now with some very heavy weather on up into Satellite Beach, Indian Harbor, Indian Atlantic, and moving over into Melbourne Beach. There's Malabar, Palm Bay area, making its way down to Grant and Mico as well. Port Malabar Boulevard and Babcock is where we're seeing some of those heaviest storms at this time. We're also seeing showers again moving into parts of Sumter County now, so it's not over yet. Groveland, Mascot, and then down into Bay Lake, we're going to see some wet weather for you as well. And there is that broader view of things. We're going to watch this sort of all evening and all night, and that colder air showing up tomorrow and really making a huge change in the weather forecast. So morning lows, well, again, low temperatures tomorrow, basically in the 50s around central Florida, and we're going to have some cloud cover and very, very heavy rain conditions in the forecast for our Tuesday afternoon. We'll get the full details of what's happening with your 7-day forecast and your tropical update coming up in just a few minutes, but right now is Live Storm Tracker 13.
Your accurate weather expert forecast with Storm Tracker 13.
All right, so weather on the ones here at News 13. Hello, everyone. A very, very stormy afternoon. It started out with that gusty southerly wind flow, just pumping up moisture and warm air today. Temperatures got all the way up into the middle to upper 80s, setting the stage for a frontal passage, which actually won't occur until later on tonight. But boy, the squall line out ahead of that front, it was a doozy today. A lot of rain around central Florida, northern parts of Brevard, as you see here at the KSC Visitor Complex, Kennedy Atlantis Cam. Those northern locations saw as much as 2.5 inches of rain, and there are still showers falling all over central Florida at this hour. So here's the setup. The front is well back to the north and west, but the energy rushing out ahead of that front, taking advantage of that deep southerly wind flow, the warm, moist air, and that's where the showers and thunderstorms came from. If you were out and about early this morning and you noticed those low clouds just zipping across from south and north, that was an indication of the very powerful wind fields that we're dealing with, and one of the reasons why we have this continued threat for strong to severe weather, at least through the next maybe 2 hours. I think we get into the 7-8 o'clock time frame, and that threat really will have passed by to the south and west of us. But at least for now, we still have a tornado watch in effect until 8 o'clock tonight for Osceola and for Brevard County. Now, everyone in central Florida was under a tornado watch earlier, but we had no actual tornadoes, and you probably know that. We really only had one severe thunderstorm warning, and we did get a 51-mile-per-hour wind gust at 5:20 on one of the Air Force towers, but 51 miles per hour, that's not enough to really qualify for a severe thunderstorm. So in the end, the good news is we really didn't get it as intense as it could have been, but again, it's also not completely completely over quite yet. Let me go ahead and find my right button, and I want to zoom in on this complex down across the southern parts of Brevard County, because this is where we've seen some pretty intense weather just in the last couple minutes. Palm Bay, Malabar, Grant, Valkyria, into Mico, and our friends at Barefoot Bay. These storms are moving at about 50 miles per hour, so they're going to be on you very quickly and then move on off to the east very quickly. Again, Groveland, Mascot, Howey in the hills into Claremont, Bay Lake area, almost over in Orange Mountain. Another swath of moderate rainfall is moving in, so it's not over yet. Even though the big-time storms have moved away, we're going to keep at least some rain in the forecast this evening and into the overnight hours. There's that boundary again off to the north of us. The squall line, as you can see, racing out ahead, but there's more storms developing in the southwest Gulf, so we're going to hold Osceola and Brevard County with the threat for some showers and some heavier thunderstorms to about 8 o'clock this evening. And then overnight, I think what we're talking about mainly is just going to be some rain off and on and cloudy skies. Temperatures for our overnight lows in the 50s. Actually, temperatures will probably drop throughout the day tomorrow. So your highest temperature is probably right after midnight, 58 degrees, and then dropping into the lower 50s throughout the late afternoon and evening hours. Wednesday morning into the 30s for most of us in Central Florida, really bone-chilling cold, and then only warming into the 60s. There is that forecast for the next 7 days. Full details on what you can expect coming up in just a few minutes. Right now it is Live Storm Tracker 13.
I'm Marla Weech. We've been tracking the rain every 10 minutes all day long in your weather on the ones. Meteorologist Dave Cocchiarella is watching it minute by minute for you on Storm Tracker 13. Hello, Dave.
Hey there, Marla. Indeed, we are talking about a very, very active afternoon, but for the most part, things have quieted down across almost all of East Central Florida, although far southern parts of Brevard County still dealing with quite a bit of fairly heavy rain at this time. I'm going to take you over to the Beaver Toyota Cam at the Golden Lion Restaurant in Flagler Beach, where the sun is setting and things are finally beginning to calm down in that area. There is Storm Tracker 13, and again, the heaviest rainfall is now mainly over the southern parts of Brevard County. That's where we're seeing the most intense activity at this time. There is a loop of that Palm Bay South into Mico, Grant, Malabar. Although, with that said, we are still watching for some fairly decent rainfall that is now moving into the west side of the forecast area. So showers still on the outlook, particularly between Leesburg and Orange Mountain, pushing over toward Orlando, that is, and the Kissimmee area here in the next couple of minutes. In terms of your current conditions, we are right now in the 60s and low 70s. That's not going to last long. A much colder air mass is moving in behind the cold front. That frontal boundary will be to the south of us tomorrow. I'll have the details, of course, with your weather on the ones.
Your accurate weather expert forecast with Storm Tracker 13.
All right, it's weather on the ones here at News 13. I want to start you out with some heavy rainfall that moved through Sanford earlier today. Many of us saw strong thunderstorms. We had one severe thunderstorm warning for several counties. It was Brevard, Orange, Osceola, but most of us didn't see much more than heavy downpours, some very gusty winds. We had 45, 55 mile per hour winds in some locations. Of course, we had the F2 tornado, EF2 tornado, that touched down way up in the panhandle of Florida, but North Florida actually. But what we did not see is that type of weather here in Central Florida. Of course, in and around Seminole County, it was definitely a mess, and you can see the cloudy, wet weather there. All right, I'll take you into what's happening with the last 12 hours in terms of rainfall amounts in Central Florida, and they were pretty heavy. Even though the cells were individually moving at about 50 miles per hour, we still got between 1.5 inches and 2 inches of rain in the swath from Sanford, Orlando, and over into Titusville. But really, the heaviest rainfall did occur here in and around the Titusville area, so that's where we saw almost 2.5 inches of rain there back down to the south. We also saw somewhere between 1 inch and 1.5 inches closer to the Orlando area as well. All right, there's our frontal boundary. So this isn't even the front. This is a squall line out ahead of the front. Essentially, as cold fronts sort of drop into a very warm, moist atmosphere, as we saw today, the energy rushes out ahead of the frontal boundary itself, and the squall line develops out ahead of the front, and that's what we're seeing now. There's still plenty of moisture back behind it, and we're also looking to these storms that are way on down to the south that still may carry themselves up over parts of Osceola and Brevard County here over the next hour or so, and therefore we're keeping the tornado watch in place for Osceola and Brevard. The rest of Central Florida, we're really talking about moderate rainfall, maybe some heavier showers at times. The number one spot that we're watching at this time is going to be what we see down here in southern parts of Brevard County. Now, we mentioned this a little while ago the Miko, Grant, Malabar, Valkyria area. This is the spot right in here that we're seeing just south of Palm Bay in the Grant, Valkyria, Barefoot Bay area. Some fairly heavy storms there stretching on up into Melbourne Beach and Malabar. So that's the one location in Brevard that's most intense. Some showers are still moving out of Howey in the Hills, Leesburg, Groveland, Mascot, moving up into Claremont at this time. And then really the 441 corridor from Apopka up into Zellwood and Tangerine also seeing some pretty decent rainfall as well. So we're going to watch this activity as we work through the evening hours. Overnight tonight, temperatures expected down into the upper 40s and low 50s. And actually, when we talk about tomorrow's low temperatures, it's really going to happen later in the day. We'll probably have the warmest temperatures of the day at about midnight, and those temperatures will fall throughout the evening, overnight hours, I should say, and into tomorrow with a strong north wind and that cold air moving in. Full details coming up in just a few minutes. Right now it is live, Storm Tracker 13.
This is a Storm Tracker 13 Tropical Update.
All right, tropical update time here at News 13, and most of the heavy storms have passed on by. There's still some very active weather over the southern half of the state, well out ahead of the cold front, and we're going to keep periods of heavy rain in the forecast this evening and possibly still a thunderstorm or two. But at this hour, this is the way things look over the KSC Visitor Complex, Kennedy Atlantis Cam. Certainly wet and some light rain around central Florida at this hour, but the worst of the weather has passed us by now, and we're going to focus on the next hour or two to see if we can get any more strong thunderstorms in Osceola and or Brevard County. That is where we continue to have our tornado watch. Now, the weather we're seeing at this moment really not supportive of tornadic activity, but these are the areas we're going to watch. There's some stronger storms down to the south and west that could get up into Osceola or into Brevard County between now and 8 o'clock this evening. So those are the spots that we're going to watch very closely to make sure none of that activity develops or intensifies for us. That's the way things look on Storm Tracker 13 at this time. Most of Brevard County is seeing light to moderate rain. Some of this heavier stuff is actually south and west of Bartow and Fort Meade, closer to the coastline, and it's what can move up over Osceola and parts of Brevard County as well. We have a couple of locations where we're getting some decent rainfall. Eustis back down into Claremont, moving over into Zellwood, but even this is beginning to break up as it moves very, very quickly at about 30 to 40 miles per hour off to the north and east off toward Volusia County, maybe even Flagler County again. Mims over to North Merritt Island, and then the Barrier Island down into Cape Canaveral, still seeing some moderate to heavy showers there as well. So wet weather all around central Florida and kind of a raw evening. Now, it is the time of the hour. We talk about the tropics, but tropical storm formation just not expected here over the next couple of days. It does look like cold fronts have now shut off the tropics from here on out. So this is the story. A cold front, and out ahead of the cold front, what we have is a pretty deep southerly wind flow. And today that meant south to southwest winds sort of pumping up across the peninsula, bringing very warm, moist air. And that set the stage for those showers and the thunderstorms. But behind this front, a strong northwest wind is going to drive some much, much colder air in. It's going to take about 8 to 12 hours for that cold air to arrive in a big way. But temperatures are going to fall throughout the day today. So when we talk about lows and highs for tomorrow, the highest temperatures of the day for Tuesday will likely happen just after midnight. The lowest temperatures of the day, what we're looking at now, will probably happen later in the day and into the evening hours. So during the late evening, we're going to keep some showers in the forecast. Temperatures, again, just after midnight, probably in the upper 50s, falling into the lower 50s for our afternoon highs, and then down into the 30s for Wednesday morning, with Wednesday afternoon high temperatures only in the 60s. So a couple of very chilly days here in Central Florida. That is the expectation. Paul and forecast, those numbers brought to you by Trial Pro, the trial professionals, and your 7-day outlook with some very, very cold conditions. 38 in Orlando on Wednesday morning, meaning many of you north and west of I-4 could get down to close to freezing. The rest of your 7-day forecast, and right now, live Storm Tracker 13.